If you've just got the Quest 2 or the Quest 3 for Christmas, or you've been bored of this little face toaster lately and want something that can spice up your gaming life, I'm here to show you a bunch of free games that you can download right now. This is part 3 of this showcase, and if you want more, I'll be leaving those playing at the end of this video so you can watch them next. And as a surprise for those of you who already know my channel, I actually had the pleasure of voice acting for one of these games, so if you end up meeting me in one of them, then come on by and make sure to say hello. Lastly, if you think I've earned it today, the subscription button is right down there, and it really does help a lot with how much I put into these showcases. But let me make sure that I earn your subscription today by showing you some of the best free games that VR has to offer. This is a simplified Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted. Inside this FNAF fan game, you're working at a facility called Cloud9, and you need to make sure that you aren't shown too much affection by the local animatronics. The layout is fairly similar to FNAF Help Wanted 1 with the remake of the original FNAF. You've got 2 entrances and a monitor to watch the cameras on. And of course, you've got that good old limited power mechanic, because of course, the company would rather try to find another deadbeat to take this job than pay $5 more for electricity. And just like the original FNAF, you'll go through the nights and they'll introduce more characters. I enjoyed being able to play a different version of FNAF VR for free, and when they did grab me, it did give me a nice scare. However, if you'd rather keep the pee inside your body, then you might like this next title, as long as you're not scared of heights. This game is not only free, but actually one of my favorites. There are 5 game modes, multiple movement mechanics, and a bunch of cosmetics to choose from. The premise of the game is trying to outmaneuver your opponents and tag them. For the game modes, you can play Infection, where one player starts out as it and they need to grapple around the city and tag everybody else before the timer ends. Then there's Hot Seat, which is like the opposite of Infection, where one person tries to avoid being tagged by everyone else, and if you manage to tag that person, then you have to avoid everybody until the timer runs out, and whoever was it during the longest period of time wins. Then there's Freeze Tag, which is their esports mode and a personal favorite of mine. 2 teams spawn into an arena, and if you get tagged, you're frozen in place until your teammate untags you, or until one team has all of their members tagged, and then it restarts until one team gets 10 wins, or until the timer reaches 8 minutes. There's also racing, where players race through checkpoints, turning tight corners and stunning opponents by tagging them. And lastly, there's social mode, where players can grapple around the city and chill with each other. To move around in this game, you can grapple with the strings that are like Spider-Man, you can use hand thrusters like Iron Man, or you can glide like you have your own personal wingsuit, or just walk along the ground. Be careful though, because the grappling and thrusters do have a limited use that does take time to recharge for the game mechanics to balance out. This is a phenomenal game. I always love going in there, especially for the freeze tag. Having a game that balances out being able to mess around as well as be exhilarating and fast-paced is difficult, but Vertical Shift never fails to deliver every time I get on. However, as magical as this game is to me, if you'd rather take the magic into your own hands, then this next game might be just for you. Welcome to Drakier, the land of magic and mischief. The age of modern man has been advanced, but only by disturbing the natural order. You find yourself in the middle of this realm and need to learn spells to free a mysterious woman that summoned you there so that together you can return the balance to the realm. As far as story mechanics go, this game is interesting for the plotline, but the voice acting and character animations are not the best. However, I did have a lot of fun casting spells in there because of how the game works entirely off of hand track. So you can travel through the game, learning more spells, and be able to take down enemies in unique and interesting ways. Even the beginning spell of being able to have a shield that you can throw like Captain America is awesome. But I will say that since it is 100% hand tracking, sometimes the gestures can overlap a bit. Like here you can see that I was trying to use the fire spell, but it thought I was trying to turn instead. But having a full free progression based story where you go through and just learn spells is really fun, and just being able to shoot fire from my hands and summon shields is amazing. However, if magic is too mythical for you and you'd rather have something relatable, then maybe you'll like bringing this game into your home. While knocking around some balls might be painful for some people, I think it's a great way to pass the time. And for those of you who grew up around billiards type games like pool, I think that you'll love it, because this game has some of the most accurate pool physics I've seen in VR yet. You can play against other players or bots with scalable difficulties, and in regular pool or several different game modes that they custom added in. Not only that, but it does have a mixed reality mode for those of you who use the Quest 3. However, it doesn't stop those of you who use a Quest 2 from having just as much fun. It also has a ranking system designed to pair you up with players at your skill level. But with there being such a low population on the game, it's kind of a moot point. Regardless of that, I had a great time in here, and I think that anybody who enjoys pool will love it. However, if you'd rather fight for your freedom than sit around and enjoy it, then you might like going to war in this next title. Cactus Cowboys Plants at War is, from the words of the developer, a game of questionable quality. Right off the bat, you're greeted with the "Are you winning, son?" meme, and then thrust into a backstory of the father's time in war. Storming the beaches of Normandy as our forefathers, our four cacti, did. Everything in there is mission-based, where you need to stick with your squad and fulfill operations to push back the insect army. Now, I don't know whose fever dream it was that imagined war crimes of bugs against cacti, but I'd love whatever they're having. Despite it being low poly and some of the AI not being very smart, I was actually intrigued by the story and wanting to progress through the missions and seeing where all this chaos went. Also, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but they do have a second title called Cactus Cowboy Fully Loaded, which is also a free game on Quest if you enjoy this one and want to try something else. However, if you want to escape this game of questionable quality, let's parkour into our next title. Welcome to Grab, the community-driven parkour game. During the tutorial, you learn all about certain properties of the game. Ice is slippery, lava kills you, etc. And as soon as you learn all about the parkour mechanics and what your grappling hooks can do, you're ready to host your own lobby or join a random one. The lobby host is responsible for the worlds that everybody joins into, and the creativity is left to the players, because there is a full level builder inside the game. You could see regular parkour, parkour progression challenges, escape rooms, and whatever else the user can imagine. The level builder, just like the parkour, is also multiplayer, so you can even build amazing things with your friends. I met a couple people that were very welcoming, showing me the ins and outs of the game, like tricking me into a cannon to shoot me out of the map. But I think one of my favorite features is the fact you can actually grip other players. So if you're new and you want to keep up with the rest of the lobby in a parkour challenge, you can ask one of the more experienced players if you can hold on to them, and they can literally carry you through the part of the map. It's not a high definition masterpiece by any means, but the parkour was fun and the community was very welcoming. However, if you aren't good with large lobbies of people or parkour and you want something that's more along the lines of a 1v1 with your feet planted firmly on the ground, then stay tuned for this next game. Gravity League is a game with a simple concept. Hit your ball past the enemy into their goal and score a point. Two players spawn into a narrow corridor and need to hit the ball past the other enemy using 4 tools, one on each hand and a power-up of their choice. And of course, their adrenaline-fueled reflexes. You can use the standard hitter, a smaller one that hits the ball harder but is harder to hit the ball with because it is slightly smaller, a bat which can hit the ball the hardest but is the smallest, or a shield which has the largest coverage area but does not hit the ball as hard as anything else. There are also power-ups that you can select from, like one that makes the ball duplicate, one that makes the ball teleport when it bounces, and others to give you an advantage if you fill up your power bar enough by hitting the ball. It's a simple concept of a game that can be great to just shoot the breeze with somebody and have fun, or for somebody who's new to VR, because this game doesn't require any artificial or actual motion. Just plant your feet on the ground and hit the ball, occasionally maybe lean or crouch. But if you don't want a VR created sport, let me introduce you to something that relates to what you may have played before. Big Ballers VR is a sports game that has basketball, football, baseball, and aims to add more sports very soon. The baseball is currently in beta testing, so you can't do much with it besides socialize and hit a ball for fun, but the other 2 sports I mentioned are fully implemented and a lot of fun. Both games have fully implemented all the correct rules, and some of the parameters have of course been modified for VR. Like for example, to tackle in football, all you need to do is have your character model close enough to the other person's character model with the ball to tackle them. But you can still have all the same VR satisfaction of slapping the basketball out of someone's hand. Being in there was actually fun for me. The people were friendly and just looking to have a good time messing around, shooting some hoops, or scoring some touchdowns. The lobbies are limited to 10 players on each sport, so the football and basketball you can have anything for up to a 5v5, but with the basketball you spawn in with multiple courts, so anybody can go and shoot solo or find somebody to do a 1v1 with, and then people compare it for 2v2s. Overall, if you're looking for a free sports game in VR, I'd recommend giving this one a download. However, if you're stuck with being on the ground, these next 2 titles might give you a different look on life with a much needed altitude adjustment. Rogue Aces VR is a cartoon-style game where you pilot a weaponized propeller plane. There is a survival mode where you can fight against other planes, but the main mode is the campaign where you spawn near an island that has trucks driving around it, boats, and various air defenses that you need to destroy in order to advance to the next map. It actually does provide a bit of a challenge because trying to dodge the anti-air defenses and blow up other things in VR is harder than it sounds. And also, you're not piloting a fighter pilot, you're in a propeller plane. This thing is not the easiest to control. It's not the best plane game I've played by any means, but it is something that's free that I enjoyed quite a bit. However, if you want to put a bit more effort into flying around with your friends, then you might like this next title. Welcome to Wing It. Now, this one actually surprised me because at its core, it's actually a Gorilla Tag knockoff. But instead of you being a monkey moving around with your arms, you're a bird that moves by flapping your arms to fly further and faster. And besides the social lobbies, the only game modes that are in there right now is the Golden Snitch game mode, where you need to hold on to the Golden Snitch, which is like their oddball type game mode, and the Infection game mode, where a small percentage of the players start out as infected and need to tag the rest of the lobby. Now, I don't know why I had so much fun in here, but I actually enjoyed just getting to fly around freely by moving my arms. And the community was surprisingly kind, just people living their lives enjoying VR. Sometimes with these Gorilla Tag clone type games, you can experience a lot of toxicity going into there, but I didn't experience that with any of the lobbies I went into. Some of the players were weird, trust me, but not toxic. And although I didn't get to see you for very long today, I hope I was able to help some of you Christmas newbies out there and returning VR players. If you have any questions, please let me know, and all the store links of every game you've seen here will be in the description below in case you have any trouble finding them, because they're on App Lab through the Quest store, and sometimes the search on there is not the best. Thank you for giving me your attention today, and if you want any more free games, I'll be leaving them playing right here on the screen now, so I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in VR.